Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Says so right there on my screen.
All right, Mr. Latham, we are ready to begin.
All right. Good evening, everyone. This meeting will be conducted entirely via video conferencing. The public may view and listen to the meeting at the following live stream URL: www.metrotech.edu/mtc-live. Joanne, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Will you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Perry,
Here.
Miss McKinney,
Here.
Miss Richards,
Here.
Mr. McKinney,
Here.
Dr. Teray,
Present.
Miss Campos,
Here.
and Mr. Latham.
Here.
All present.
All right, we have a quorum. At this point, we'll turn it over to Superintendent Collins for the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's good to see everyone tonight. So glad that able to see everyone. It's just a beautiful day, and to be able to talk about and share the great news about Metro Tech is just an absolute delight. Enrollment data has been sent to board members. We are working on the 2021 board schedule. And so we'll have a sample in the next few weeks for review, and we'll be on the November board meeting. As has been discussed, just want to let you know what we're working on with that is it's important to have timely data and reports for the board. And so to assist in not having lagging financial data, we believe we can push back board meetings maybe 10 or 20 days, 10 days, and have good financial data. So we're looking at that, and we will have a sample to look at. And of course, the board votes on that in November. So appreciate Ms. Joanne's patience with me as we review that and look at that. Grateful for our administrators and the work they're doing, and really appreciate working on having data boards and real live data and making data-driven decisions, working on a student management system that has live data of enrollments, tuition, and financial payments. I think that's all data that you've been discussing and desiring to see, real live data. And so we're working on that. Really appreciate the administrators and the work that they're doing. It's very interesting in the time that we're living in and working in, and they're doing an excellent job. So I'm grateful to Stephanie and the work that she's leading and doing with their academics. I'm grateful to Laura and to Melanie and the work that they're doing with in this COVID environment and tracing. And Sarah's also helping with that tracing. And so they're doing an excellent job in keeping us open and keeping students and our faculty and staff all safe and clean. And so just grateful for that work. I'm working on the school board ad hoc committee schedules. And so to have schedules in place for us to meet with those board ad hoc committees. And we do have work to do on those committees. So just as a reminder, that's budget finance, campus master plan, instructional planning, personnel, and policy. And I'm just so grateful to our faculty and staff, the work that they're doing, from our transportation to custodial services, to our administrative assistants, everyone just working together, our faculty and staff, and the teaching and the learning that they're doing and adjusting to our students. And and being available and accessible to our students when needed, and working with neighboring districts. The work that we're doing is amazing, and I'm grateful. We're passing out food on a daily basis, and that's amazing work that's being done there as well. So just so thankful for coming together and being good partners in education to our community and partners and clients. And it's just great work being done. Continue to be focused on quality instruction, being quality community partners, and providing quality training to partners and clients. And I'm grateful for that. That concludes my district update. Mr. Latham, questions, I assume, would be next.
Any questions? See any? We'll move on to presentations.
So the first up, if I may interject, Dr. Latham, Mr. Latham, is to go ahead and introduce Mr. Lawless over operational services, and he has presentation and recognitions. And so if Mr. Lawless could come in and to recognize and to present then his guests. Mr. Lawless.
Well, good evening, and good evening to all the board members. Happy to see everyone. I do have a couple of really special guests that I want to introduce to you. You know, in the mornings, early in the mornings, you're out driving around the metro area. You see the buses out. You see Oklahoma City Public School bus. Well, you don't see those yet. We will, but at some point, I hope. But we see the Metrotech buses. I see them every morning, and you know, you just think, hey, the buses come and pick the kids up and they take them to school. And when I was a site director, that's all I cared about. But let me tell you, the work that goes into getting those buses to the students on time and to the sites on time, the work that goes into that is arduous. And this pandemic has proven to throw obstacle after obstacle with alternative scheduling and days and B days, and it's been a nightmare. But these two individuals that I'm going to introduce to you have tackled this task with grace and class and professionalism and a lot of patience. I'd like to introduce Miss Crystal Scott, who is the transportation supervisor. She actually supervises transportation and fleet services, and Terry Hankins, who is the lead bus driver. They're both officed here with me in the service center. And these two ladies do a fantastic job building the bus routes, coordinating pickup times, communicating with student parents on a daily basis. And it's been phenomenal to see this process play out. And I just want to congratulate these two for a job well done. And with that being said, I'd like to open up the floor for questions for Crystal and for Terry. If you have any questions regarding transportation, these two ladies would be more than willing to answer any questions you may have about what we've done this year up to this point and how we've dealt with the pandemic.
Well, Derek, let's first recognize them for their great work that they're doing for us for Metro. Thank you so much, Crystal and Terry.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Mhm.
Do any of the board members, do we have any questions for Crystal or Terry about what we've done so far this year? Any questions, suggestions, comments? We would love to hear from you.
I don't have a question necessarily, but I just want to thank you for the work that you're doing, because I know it hasn't been easy and there's a lot of new things that you've dealt with. So I just want to thank you for staying on it and for doing the best that you can during this very unique situation.
Yes, thank you, and you're welcome. Like you said, it is a unique situation with everything going on now, and there's been a lot of new things that have come our way during this time, along with the normal process that we do. But yeah, we just do our best to provide safe and on-time delivery for our students. And we love what we do, and we do the best that we can. And yeah, we just thank you for appreciating us as well.
Yeah, I also like to say thank you to the bus drivers in our department, because without them, we could not get this done.
Right. You have a great team. You have a great team. A small team, but a great team.
Just need about 10 more bus drivers and you'd be on the catbird
First of
seat.
all- First of all, thank you for your service. And I would like to know how you handle social distancing on the bus.
Well, the masks are required. We take temperatures when the students board the bus, and then they have to wear a mask. We do, depending on how many students are on the bus, we try to keep them separate as much as possible. But sometimes when the loads are heavier, it's a little hard to do. So basically the mask is required. That's going to be our main part of the social distancing.
Thank you.
And Crystal, it's definitely helped with the AB schedule too, with the amount on the buses and percentage of that occupancy on the bus, correct?
Yes, that does help. That's new to us, and so, but it does. Now that you say that, it does help spread everybody out and not have the loads as heavy as they would normally be on a day-to-day basis. So yeah.
Are you all having any problems or troubles that the board could help you out with? Any particular issues?
Gary, I think no, nothing particular. I mean, just we still have just our normal issues, and the few things that have come up, we just go with the flow and make things happen, keep those buses moving. But no major problems.
Well, good work. Good work.
Thank you.
Adapt and overcome.
Well, hey, I would like to ask the board members if you guys need a side gig. I don't know about the legalities of driving a bus, but hey, we take you on.
We sure will.
Well, you need to see Bill Class B and we'll get trained up.
Yeah, that's a very good, Mr. Lawless. I believe they can volunteer, and that will be legal. So we would love for them to volunteer.
How many of us do you need?
Actually, we did hire a bus driver. Started actually 2 weeks ago. Joshua Bedwell's our new driver. So we're 3 drivers short of a full driver crew, and we're actively seeking qualified CDL holders who would like a career at Metro Tech driving the bus. So, but these ladies have done a fantastic job with the shorthanded making the students arrival times and at the sites every day. So they've done a fantastic job.
What time do they go out in the mornings?
First bus rolls out about 5:25, 5:30 a.m. So we're there. We're making it happen real early in the morning.
I think that actually disqualifies me from being a bus driver. I'm
not a lot of people at that point.
Yeah. I'm not at the bus at 5:25 in the morning. So.
That's okay, Mr. Latham. We do have afternoon routes.
Okay, all right.
Any final thoughts or questions? Just appreciate the courage that Crystal and Terry has to leave, and the courage they've had to lead during this time. So thank you. We do, and they'll be the first ones to tell you, we have the best drivers in the state, and we're grateful for the work that they do. Smiling faces in the morning, just good people. A great way to showcase Metro Tech is by our bus drivers and the way that they present themselves in the morning and say good morning, and then the way that they present themselves as being the person that drops our students off as well. So can't be more grateful for the courage to lead that Crystal and Terry and our bus drivers have here for Metro Tech. Just delighted to have them as part of our team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on your recognition. If you were here in person, it'd be more apt and we'd have things to deliver to you. So I'll have to get those to you, but thank you so much for the work.
Thank you. But this is nice. Thank you. We appreciate it.
We can give them another hand of applause.
Absolutely, Miss
Yeah,
Sarah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
And then I believe we're ready for the next one. Thanks, Derek. Were there any final comments, Derek? Are you good?
I'm good.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know what else I could say. They just do a great job. Great
You are
team.
phenomenal. Mr. Latham, it's okay. I'll go with the next presentation recognition.
Yes, sir.
So at this time, we'd like to introduce Ms. Shauna from our site director from Health Career Center. Thank you so much for being with us, Ms. Blackburn, and I will let her introduce our guests that will be recognized and doing, I believe, a quick presentation for the board. Go ahead, Ms. Blackburn. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Good evening. I'm humbled to be here and would like to thank the board for this opportunity to introduce a former health career student of Metro Tech, Heather Yazdanipur. I first met Heather when she was working with Josie Scott, our simulation coordinator, when she was preparing for annual hospital day. Heather typically gives a mini training on mass casualty response, and then she actually plays the role of an ER doctor during the scenario. She is extremely intelligent and has an amazing flair for all things medical. Heather attended the Emergency Medical Services Tech Paramedicine program in 2002, and 3 years later was asked to come back and teach at Metro Tech, where she taught for 6 years as the lead paramedic teacher. She's here today to tell us about how she came to be a student at Metro Tech and how that experience has affected her life since then. And since you did not come to hear me talk, I'm going to let her take over. Heather?
Well, good evening. So I'll be honest, this is something new for me. I have taught before, I speak in front of crowds, but I don't talk about myself, so I don't enjoy this part. But just a brief kind of how it happened. I'm going to be honest, career tech was not on my radar. I was in college. I went to OU. I know there's some OSU fans. I heard some data. We won't talk about the data. But during my graduating semester, I was working my way through college building tires at a tire factory, and one of the machines malfunctioned and crushed and partially amputated my right arm. And so I, through many years of surgeries and physical therapy, was learning to reuse my arm and make sure it was going to be all good. And the judge ordered that the company had to pay for me to learn a career. And so they offered me a career tech. And so I was handed the Metro Tech career catalog and had to pick. So I looked at them and I thought, well, there's no way I can do cosmetology because no one will want me to touch their hair. So I saw paramedic, and there's a lot of people in my family that are in medicine. So I decided, let me try that. Maybe there's a bone in my body that will take to it. And boy, did it ever. I have spent the last almost 20 years working in paramedicine. I've been with EMSA this entire time. So from the moment I graduated, which I graduated first time pass rate for my test, which is pretty awesome for a paramedic national registry, and got a job at EMSA, and I've been here ever since. Like Shauna mentioned, 3 years into my career, I got offered an opportunity to come back to Metro Tech to work as an instructor. And I started teaching just small classes, CPR classes here and there, and worked my way into becoming a paramedic instructor because of the skills that Metro Tech provided me. You guys invested so much in me, not just as a student to get me where I am, but also as an educator. I never thought about being a teacher, but it was something that I enjoyed when I took the class at Metro Tech. I had a great instructor, and I thought that's something that I really want to do to try to give back even more to my community. And so when I was offered that opportunity to come back to Metro Tech, I didn't hesitate and took it, and taught through all various programs at Metro Tech in the health career system. And really that then opened up opportunities for leadership at EMSA for me. And in my 20 years, I have worked my way into a director position. So I'm a division chief with EMSA now. And I run our emergency response division. So I have 7 counties that I'm responsible for, and I maintain the medical system for all 7 counties. So I have Oklahoma County and the 6 counties that touch it. And I don't think I would be where I am today if it wasn't for that catalog being handed to me and being given the opportunity to open my eyes to what a career tech was, how they work with you as an adult student, and how they really instill the skills that you need to succeed in life. And so I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Heather. I was super excited when I was asked to pick somebody and suggested to do Heather. And even if I wasn't suggested, I would totally ask her because she's absolutely amazing. Does anyone have any questions or comments on her adventure?
I'd just like to say this is Linda Teray. I certainly admire the work that she's doing. And when she said someone handed her that Metro Tech book, it opened up the possibilities. And that's exciting to know that just someone passing it on and sharing it, and then seeing someone who actually benefited from Metro Tech and the willingness to come back and teach and then go back to another career. I think it's quite admirable. And it's a pleasure to meet her.
Amen.
Thank you. I keep coming back. You guys can't get rid of me. I mean, I keep doing the hospital day, the disaster drill that you guys do. I enjoy that. I think it's I like to torture people sometimes.
Well, I think I was there and you look very familiar. So I'm trying to figure out how do I know her? But I attended one of the days, and it was a memorable experience. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a great partnership, and being community partners with each other, IMSA and Metro Tech. I think that's a great pairing. I think we can benefit each other in that, and there's no reason to not keep it going. So
Heather, since you mentioned that, can you go ahead and quickly share the story of that partnership and the beds? I know that you were the contributor of that for all of Oklahoma Career Tech. So could you give us a quick synopsis of that story? And again, thank you so much for sharing your story, for your willingness to talk about Metro Tech and the difference that it's made on your life. That story is just incredible. But if you could share about the hospital beds and Career Tech.
Sure. So being in charge of the medical system and medical preparedness and readiness, we have an actual cache of medical equipment that I have in a warehouse here that could be deployed at a moment's notice. Well, part of that was meant to set up alternative care sites or hospitals and tents and things like that. Well, over the years, we have evolved our capabilities to where we don't really have to do that anymore. If I want to throw up a hospital in a parking lot, I can do that with what we call pods, and they come with everything already in it. So I had in my warehouse, brand new in boxes, 50 hospital beds that I no longer had any use for. So I thought, well, what better way than, again, to give back to those that gave so much to me. So I offered some of the beds to Metro Tech. And thankfully, Metro Tech isn't selfish. They're willing to share. They got me in touch with Laura Morris at Oklahoma Career Tech, who then enabled me to share those 50 beds with 22 different career techs across the state.
Mm-hmm.
So we have now 22 career techs in the state that have received brand new, never been used electric hospital beds that they can use to help train their healthcare careers students. And so we were happy to do that. It's a nice donation. I'm happy to see those things, one, out of my warehouse, and two, actually being utilized because it pained me to walk in there and see those and know that there are people that could use them. And why am I hanging on to them? So, but yeah, so we were happy to do it, and I'm happy Metro Tech got some, and I'm happy the rest of the career techs are going to benefit from those.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming back and sharing your story. We, as board members, appreciate hearing those success stories. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Heather, congratulations on the work you're doing and for sharing your story, not only with us, but with more people that you work with on a day-to-day basis. And just continue to share that because we appreciate those stories every day.
I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Shauna. And thank you for the opportunity to be able to share. So as I was saying earlier, there's just so many great things. Now you know why I started off the board meeting the way I did. It's just incredible news that's going on. And so thank you so much to the board and for your support. And we appreciate there's so many team members in this. Really appreciate it. Mr. Latham, did you want me to go ahead, or you just want to go ahead and do financial and?
Yep, fire away, Superintendent Collins.
So at this time, it's my pleasure to turn it over now to our district treasurer, Mr. Bruce Campbell. And he will also be close by to Bruce will be Mr. Matt as well, Genhart. And so I welcome Mr. Bruce Campbell and the Treasury Report.
All right, good evening. I think Heather is going to be a tough act to follow, but I want to begin by thanking Mr. Collins and each of the board members for the opportunity to work with Metro Tech as your new treasurer. I'm looking forward to that, and the past month has been quite interesting as I've gotten started and working with Matt Genhart and Phil Carlton and their team to learn your processes and to learn where we might make some improvements. Has been a very interesting month, and I'm just looking forward to continuing to move forward with that. So I thought this evening I would just hit some highlights from the Treasurer's Report. You'll notice that this is in the same format that you've seen in previous months. We do have some changes that we're planning for the report, and we'll be running those by Mr. Collins before we bring those to you at the next board meeting. But I anticipate a new format, which will include most of the information that you have here, but also will include a statement of financial position for the district that will tell you the condition of each fund at as of the end of the preceding month. And we do, although right now we have been restricted to report on the second prior month, as Mr. Collins mentioned earlier, with the board meeting happening later in November and December, we have high hopes that we'll be able to give you the results from the first prior month as we move forward. So want to hit some highlights from the August Treasurer's Report. And my understanding is that you have that as a handout. On page 1, I think I'll direct your attention to the column that's labeled fiscal year 21 through August, which is the year-to-date numbers for the district. And there's some numbers that I'll pull out of that column, which tell the story of where we are at this point in the fiscal year. And it's a very similar story to where every other tech center is at this particular time of the fiscal year, because you'll see there that our general fund began the year with a fund balance of $5.355 million. That's a healthy increase over our fund balance for the previous year. You'll notice that we had revenues of about $1.44 million, but expenditures of 3.7. So we depleted our fund balance during the first 2 months of the year by $2.25 million. That is not a trend to be overly concerned about. In fact, it is what we plan for and what we expect, because during the first 5 months of the fiscal year, every fiscal year, our ad valorem revenues are minimal at best. And but the revenues will begin coming in at the end of November, and we'll pick up in December, with late December and early January being our heavy collection period. And so that depleted fund balance will completely turn around by the 1st of January, and we'll be back in a positive cash flow situation for the year. It's very important as we look to the future for the district to protect and to grow that fund balance so that we're not put in an adverse situation during those first 5 months of operations. So that's a quick review of the general fund on page 1. The building fund on page 2, looking at that same column, we have almost a $7 million beginning fund balance, 6.97 million, with revenues of only $200,000. And those revenues are from prior year ad valorem collections. We've spent so far 1.33 million. So we've depleted our fund balance by $642,000. Skipping to page 4, this is the page that gives a good recap of our investments and our accounts and the collateral that's there to protect our deposits. And on page 4, you'll see that in our schedule of investments, we have right at $92 million that is currently invested. In addition to that, we have $1.897 million, that's in the lower portion of that schedule, $1.897 million in our checking accounts as of the end of the month. And so those are some highlights from the report. Again, we'll be working on some modifications to the format. We want the Treasurer's Report to be informative. We want it to be as up to date as possible and accurate, and so that you can have a good idea of what the financial picture of the school district looks like. So at this point, I would try to address any questions you might have.
Looks like we're liquid.
We are. Yes, sir, we are. I might mention that Mr. Genhart and Mr. Carlton and I actually are working together to put together what will be the first amendment to the budget, which will be brought to you in the near future. And that's the amended budget that gets prepared after everything gets closed out for the prior fiscal year, and the valuations have been certified for the new year, which means we know what our tax levy will be. There are many changes, many challenges that we're dealing with for this new fiscal year. And we're working together to make sure that when you see that amended budget, you're looking at a budget that will protect the quality of the programs that we're able to offer at Metro Tech. So we will, as stated, we'll be working together to bring you an amended budget in the very near future.
Mr. Campbell, how's the understanding and training of the new accounting system coming?
Well, I feel like it's coming fairly well. You know, this is probably my experience when I was at Moore Norman was that this is probably the most difficult time in dealing with the new system, because we are at the end of the first full fiscal year of operations under that new system and beginning the second year. So I will tell you that closing of the first fiscal year at Moore Norman was an extremely difficult process. As we began that process, we certainly knew what the end game was, but we didn't know what we didn't know, if you will, about some of the ways we would get that information out of the system. So that's a very challenging time for our finance team here, but they're learning fast, and they've been very responsive in terms of working through that. And that's actually one of the main reasons that I became involved in working with the finance staff, is because I had learned a great deal with iVisions and working through that process this past 2 years at Moore Norman. And so it's a challenge, but it's an outstanding system. The district made a very good decision in going with iVisions, and you will see more and more the results of that decision as we move forward. And the finance team will become more comfortable with it. So, Mr. Perry, I want to make sure that I really answered your question. The finance staff is learning new things basically every day. They have dealt with the closing well. They dealt with some challenges that were unforeseen, but which we have overcome. And we'll just continue to improve our processes. We've implemented some processes that are made possible by the new system. regarding financial aid awards to students, which have turned a process that involved several steps and several subsystems. We've turned that into something that's minimized those steps and has everything happening inside of iVisions now instead of originating outside of iVisions. So that's good. That will help to eliminate some mistakes that sometimes are made. And like I say, just overall will streamline the process. So
Thank you.
You have an
Thank you
excellent
very much.
staff and they're learning it well.
You definitely answered my question.
Thank you. Okay. Sometimes I tend to over answer a question. I'll try to.
Well, that's all right.
Okay.
Any other questions on the finance report?
Work.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments from Mr. Campbell or Mr. Genhart?
Do you need me to present about this this correction?
Only if you're presenting, Mr. Genhart. I don't tell anyone what to say or do.
Okay. My video is not working for some reason. There we go. Well, board, I just wanted to make it one of Mr. Collins's big things is to do right. If you make a mistake, make it right. So I'm here to correct a mistake that that has occurred that related to our financial aid tuition. During the months of March through August, we had issued some disbursements for financial aid. And during that time, we did issue those disbursements as required by federal law, timely to those students. However, the portion of the funds that we keep for tuition was held in those financial aid accounts and was not transferred to our operating account and recorded as revenue at the time of that it normally transferred. So we have a correction that we're going to be making in October to rectify this situation, to report a total of $31,200.75 of additional revenue that should have been reported in prior months. So we're making a correction to correct that. And as Bruce said, we have began to utilize the system more efficiently to rectify specifically this situation, but to enhance a lot of our processes. And so what we are doing is combining. We had a total of 3 different financial aid accounts. We're combining those into one to simplify that process. We have started to issue financial aid through the Infinite Vision system. That way, everything's in one system and not having to be done through multiple. That's why you'll see some purchase orders on the encumbrance report that say financial aid disbursements. They picked up on our PO ranges, but we have to protect those students' names by federal law. So that's why you see those consistently down there on that. We are beginning to, instead of doing an electronic transfer, we're actually issuing a check to Metro Tech, so that check can be immediately deposited into the operating account, and that tuition revenue recorded right then. And then the treasurer, Mr. Campbell, is going to be reconciling the financial aid account on a weekly basis.
Thank you so much for that explanation. And that answered one of my questions about the disbursements to financial aid.
The main thing is we want to report accurate information. If we make a mistake, we want to bring it to your attention.
All is forgiven.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Genhart. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Appreciate that information.
Yes, thank you.
Good work.
And Superintendent Collins, I guess you want to highlight some of the upcoming events?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to do that. And so do want to remind everyone of the Oklahoma ethics and presentation from Oklahoma City Thunder, as well as the board meeting on November 10th. Of course, we want to continue to remember the Dr. Portis Memorial Golf Tournament. That will be October 30th. Career Tech Virtual Vision 2020. You see the dates for that, as well as the rescheduled Metro Tech Foundation Sowing the Seeds of Success banquet for April. So that's the upcoming events. And then would you like me to go ahead and go with E as well, Mr.
Yes,
Latham? So appreciate the school board and the work that they're doing for the continuing education units and those credits, and you have that information. So thank you so much, board members, for the work that you're doing and the professional development that you're joining in on.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Collins. Any board member reports?
Mr. Latham, I've been reading in the paper about the new grocery store that's coming to our community. I believe it's at 23rd and MLK. We had prior, when Dr. Portis was with us, he had developed a relationship with a grocer that was coming in who subsequently didn't make it. And I wondered if we had any, if we'd reached out to the new people and maybe tried to help them in the same way that Dr. Portis had tried to do.
Mr. Perry, we were at the event.
Oh, well, great. That's terrific. So did you reach out to him?
We did. We've made contact and continuing to work that. And Homeland, we're so very grateful for them choosing our area to put a grocery store in. It's just it was a great day for our community. And we can't wait to invite all of you to their ribbon cutting, they hope in 12 to 13 months.
Well, I think we had established some type of an internship / training program with some of their employees. And I don't know the specifics, but I know there are people that do, and we might find that to be a benefit again.
Absolutely. We will be sure that we reach out to them about that as well.
Great point. I'm not mistaken, it's actually not just one grocery store, but it's actually two grocery stores that have been announced here recently on the northeast side by our campus over there. And so we're going from 0 to 2 in no time. So I think the Alliance for Economic Development has done a great job. Restore OKC has done a great job. And so really excited about the possibilities that are happening around our campus.
Mr. Latham, I just want to jump in and give a comment. We recently celebrated the virtual Fiestas de las Americas with Caído Cinco in historic Capitol Hill. And I just want to thank Metro Tech and specifically the work that Valerie McMurray did with that, volunteering her time and efforts into making sure there was a participation from Metro Tech, and we did it virtually. And so we were able to still have a celebration. And also Sandra Ramirez Sanchez, thank you for submitting the video and being the face of Metro Tech in that video. We have actually reached over 20,000 viewers of our virtual celebration. So that is just another opportunity for us to be in front of people, as well as the Oklahoma History Center is going to be featuring those videos for teachers in their their vault of Latinos in Oklahoma. So that everything that was taking place during the week of will be available for any educators and teachers that are interested in learning more about the heritage and history in Oklahoma. So if they get to look at that one, they'll get to see Metro Tech as part of that. So again, thank you all for participating, for continuing to support the community.
The Personnel Committee met on September 29th, and as a result of that meeting, we have an item on the agenda Recommend for recommendation.
Thank you very much, Ms. McKinney. Yeah. And Ms. Campos, I was one of the 20,000. So you're welcome us padding the numbers for you watching online. So. Any other board member reports? All right, seeing none, we will move to item number 4, Chief Officer and Associate Superintendent Board reports for review. I think everybody has those in their documents. Is that correct, Mr. Collins?
Yes,
Correct.
it's in the agenda.
Is there anything that any of the chief officers or associate superintendent would like to elaborate on from their board reports, or?
Are questions from the board?
May I make a comment while we're waiting? I noticed on the report from Stephanie that we sent out our first round of laptops and hotspots for distance learning. And that is something I have to tell you I really appreciate, just because I know from the standpoint of the distance learning students, they're having a really difficult time with Wi-Fi, with connections. And so anything we can do to help our students to be more efficient and to have a better connection and to have the equipment necessary is so valuable. So thank you so much for staying on that and for getting that done for our students.
Mr. President, I just had one question regarding it was the Financial Services Division, and I started to ask it during the financial report, but they had a comment regarding the CARES Act funds and how they were dispersed, and that $233,000 plus had been spent on students and the rest went to the institution. And I wondered if that was for additional supplies, staff, and we may have discussed this at some other time. I just noticed it was noted in that financial services. So I don't know if Mr. Campbell or Mr. Genhart can maybe comment on that.
To elaborate on that, we were awarded a total of $500,000, and half of that was to the student, half was to the institution. So what we used our portion off of was you remember the over $1 million we spent on computers?
Yeah, okay.
We applied that towards that purchase.
Okay.
But as of that report, we've spent every bit of the CARES Act funds we had.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board or anything else that anyone wants to offer up?
I appreciate the reports. I do want the staff members to know that I appreciate them very much. So thank you.
Yeah, and I'll echo that sentiment. I think it's been really helpful to be able to read through those and get an update. And frankly, I think it not only informs us, but expedites some of these meetings because it allows us to see what's going on. So win-win in a lot of ways. All right, seeing no other questions or reports, let's move on to item number 5. Do we have a motion on item number 5?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Superintendent Collins, is there anything you'd like to highlight on this?
No, just a reminder, we looked at this last month. We're going to roll it over. We'll get more work to do together in our strategic planning, but we're ready to roll with this for this year.
Thank you. And I'll just say quickly that I know talking to Superintendent Collins, strategic planning is really a focus of his, and I'm excited about getting to do some more in-depth strategic planning because I think that's going to benefit all of us in the long run, as well as the institution. So I really appreciate that attention to detail and desire to help us look forward so we can make sure that we can overcome some of the things that I think we've all found as challenges in our time over the last few years. So look forward to that. That being said, if there's no other comments, Joanne, will you call the roll on item number 5?
Ms. McKinney?
Aye.
Ms. Campos?
Aye.
Ms. Richards? Ms. Richards?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Dr. Teray?
Aye.
Mr. McKinney?
Aye.
And Mr. Latham?
Aye.
All aye.
All right. Item number 5 carries. Now we'll move on to item number 6, the approval of 2 past meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
I move we vote approval of item number 6.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minute? Seeing no discussion, Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. Richards?
Aye.
Ms. McKinney?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Dr. Teray?
Aye.
Mr. McKinney?
Aye.
Ms. Campos?
Aye.
And Mr. Latham?
Aye.
All aye.
Item number 6 carries. Item number 7, consent docket. Do we have a motion?
I move approval, Mr. President.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. McKinney?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Dr. Teray?
Aye.
Mr. McKinney?
Aye.
Ms. Richards?
Aye.
Ms. Campos?
Aye.
And Mr. Latham? All aye.
Item number 7 carries. We'll move on to item number 8, general business. Do we have a motion?
I move approval of the general business items.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I have a question on E as in Edward, and I think it's the one just before that. Did we go through some kind of a process of evaluating these gun ranges and making an agreement with them at the best price possible?
I'll have to get back with you on that, Mr. Perry. If you want to pull it, you can. I cannot answer your question tonight. I apologize.
Okay, I just one of the two is I have a real question about one of the two, and the Wilshire gun range in particular.
If you'd like to pull E, we can pull E, and I can get that information for you next meeting. Yes, sir.
Would that is everybody in agreement with that?
The one thing I would add there, just thinking about it and my own rudimentary knowledge of gun ranges, as someone who frequents them, that is probably the one located closest to where our students would be taking these courses. And so I have no problem pulling it to get an answer. I just wanted to mention to you, it might be proximity based, just based off of what I know about gun ranges in Oklahoma City. But if it's not going to derail anything for the students, then I don't have a problem pulling item number E.
I'd just like to be able to ask the questions and get answers. That's all.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Do we need a motion or anything like that?
Yeah, we need a motion to table item number E. Or item letter E. Sorry.
I make a motion to table item E.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion to table and we have a second. Is there any discussion on tabling E? Seeing none?
Is that going to hold up anything?
Oh, Superintendent Collins?
Not to my knowledge, Ms. Richards, at this time.
Okay.
Any other discussion on item E?
I have a question on item on paragraph I as in India.
We're not there yet.
Let us handle item E real fast and table that. We'll have to take a vote on that.
Okay.
Back to I. So you're fine. All right, Joanne, will you call the roll on tabling item E?
Dr. Teray?
Aye.
Ms. Richards?
Aye.
Ms. McKinney?
Aye.
Ms. Campos?
Aye.
Mr. McKinney?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Latham?
Aye.
All aye.
And then before we move on, Mr. McKinney, I guess I would have a similar question of item D. Is there, if we're going to hold up E, it seems appropriate that we probably hold up D, since that's just merely another gun range, so we have the full explanation.
Good idea.
If seeing no objections to that, I'm going to make a motion to also table item D for further discussion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Seeing no discussion. Oh,
I have a
yes,
question. What is the location of?
that is a great question. And give me a second to Google it. That's one that I, believe it or not, have not been to. The one that comes up is actually in Norman, Oklahoma. So
Yeah. I was wondering if location would make a
Yes,
difference.
they said it's in Norman.
yeah, I show it as Norman, Oklahoma. So I think seeing that, I even have probably maybe more questions on item D than I did on E.
Absolutely.
So barring any other discussion, Joanne, will you call the roll on tabling item D?
Yes, sir. Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
And Superintendent Collins, I hope you'll convey to the instructors there that that is not an indication of our opposition to what they're doing. It's more that we're just interested in the details and as to why it's happening the way it is. So,
Yeah, that's fine. I think Ms. Collins has some response to this if she's able to get on and answer.
Good evening. Yes, I am here. So this is for our, start my video. This is for our ACD courses, and these students take these on the short-term side, and it's for the CLEAT 4. And really, it's for them to go in and practice. We just secure kind of an agreement of a location for them, and then they let us know where they're going to go, and then we schedule it for them. But the student pays for the lane usage, and that's all it is.
Thank you so much, Ms. Collins. That clears up, I think, most of those questions.
Ms. Collins, if I may, is there one, I guess, are we derailing anything by tabling this? I guess is my first question.
Well, I can't remember exactly when we have our first class starting. I think we have one coming up. I would have to double check the schedule because we've got quite a few starting. I know I've got phase 1 and 2 starting at the end of October, and then right behind that is phase 4 and 5, 3 and 4. So honestly, I would have to get back to you and get an answer on that. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
Sarah,
I believe Dr. Bills had a comment as well. I apologize, Ron.
Sure, yes, Mr. Collins. These agreements have been in place for a couple of years now. They just have not gone through the board approval process, and Mr. Collins has asked that more of our agreements like these do go through the board. So this isn't an unusual agreement. It's just an unusual process of approval.
how did Sarah, this is a question for you, Sarah. How did the locations come to be determined?
So
I mean, there are other gun ranges in our district that are equal or better than any of these.
Our director, Ronaldo Diaz, is the one that arranged that. And I think it was just with his calling around and those that were willing to work with our scheduling for our classes was a large part of it. A lot of those gun ranges, hold classes in the evenings, and which is when ours is.
I see. Okay.
Ms. Collins, I have a question. I thought I understood her to say that the students would be paying for this. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I just noticed it's Metro Tech will be invoiced after the lane usage. So is that something else totally different?
It's paid through on the ACD side. So when the students register, they pay for that amount, and then the gun range invoices us, and we pay for it out of that. So we're a pass through for them.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
With the Norman location, I'm wondering if that would be an issue, the location.
That was to help accommodate the ones that lived further south.
Okay. Thank you.
Sarah, maybe Mr. Diaz could be present next board meeting.
Yes, sir. I can make that happen.
Great.
And Sarah, I think it would be important if you guys could let us know if this is going to throw off any of the student schedules, and if it's necessary to, do something, special approval or something that we're aware of, so that we can make sure that we keep them on track. As Stephanie mentioned, if it is something that we are normally consistently doing, and just because of a process we are, delaying it, I would hate for the students to be impacted.
Yeah, I would just clarify. So this isn't a process. I don't want to change that and make sure that everyone understands that. So, when we talk about, and Miss Joanne, I appreciate her help on all this, on the legalities. When something comes to and calls for the board to be in agreement, and it could cause, that you're saying this is what we're offering and what we're enabling as a board, and that has to come legally before the board. So that was something that we discussed about 2 months ago about the MOUs and the MOAs coming through. So when it asks the board to do something, then that's why those MOUs or MOAs, is that it directly has something to do that the board is quote unquote promising something in return, thus paying an invoice.
Yes.
So not a process.
And I'm glad we're discussing it, because the format of it was questionable to me in terms of just what the legality would be for our students going to the armory and to the gun range. There were a couple of things that I wondered about as well. And so I'm glad we're discussing it.
And Dr. Teray, furthermore on that, just to let you know, if I'm looking at this wrong, Miss Joanne, you can tell me, but I believe on the 2019 June 25th board meeting that you did approve the Wiltshire agreement. So this is not the first time you've seen that. The board,
it's just the, okay.
So it has come before the board before and approved on the June 2019, if I saw that correctly, Miss Joanne. So just wanted
yes, sir.
to say that.
June 2019. Did you say June 2019?
June 25th or June 26th? June 25th, I believe.
Your memory's better than mine.
Well, I wasn't here. I'm just looking at so what happens. Miss Joanne does a great job of giving us previous board minutes of the last year's month, and so we can look through real quick and see what you approved. So that helps us in the board meetings.
It does.
But and to Ms. Teray's point, just making sure we have all the details so that we don't delay it for the students again, that's kind of my point, is just to make sure we're going to bring it for approval, that we know the details so that we can expedite it as necessary.
So Ms. Campos, thanks for bringing that up. So that will be helpful, that sometimes we don't may know exactly what you're needing for details. So again, if you can give us those questions, we can make sure those correct details are here. A detail may not be as important to us as it is to you, and so we accidentally keep it out, and we're not doing it on purpose. So please know that. But you can give us those questions and what it is on maybe specific details, we can better have and be prepared for it. And my apologies on this.
Any other questions on items or discussion on item D and E? And I'll echo Ms. Campos and say, Sarah, please let us know if this is going to be, or Superintendent Collins, please let us know if this is going to be an impediment. We're happy to rectify it. But I think it's a good flag, and maybe something that we need to be reevaluating. So I appreciate Mr. Perry flagging that for us. Seeing no other questions on items D or E, I know Mr. McKinney had a question on item I.
I did, and it was just top of my head. I noticed we were going to host a wrestling tournament, and I looked down through here and I wonder what is our liabilities on all of these.
Only if it happens. So I did ask that clarification, Mr. McKinney, and so on these are only if they occur. This is the way that they normally bring them to the board, is for a year like this, and so you approve it. We're not going to do anything that's not approved and able to do. So some of these we may not be able to do because of the situation, but they are open for a year just in case COVID, and we are opened up. and things changed, it wouldn't have to come before the board a second time.
And Superintendent Collins, if I may, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's not that we are hosting a wrestling tournament, it's that we are using a wrestling tournament as a fundraising activity for our school,
Yeah,
correct?
so they participate at that. Yes, I did call and ask. Yes.
So we don't have a wrestling team, except the board members when they wrestle.
We do not have a wrestling team at Metro Tech, Mr. Perry.
Good, good.
But if someone is injured, we're under no liability issues, are we?
Yeah, so it's a great opportunity for our students to get experience at the wrestling tournament and to be able to work that our cadets.
And Mr. McKinney, I believe that is actually the state wrestling tournament, if I remember correctly, seeing our cadets out there, they work that as part of like the security. So they're not actually wrestling. We're not a sponsor of that. That's merely us providing a service similar to how we do at Fiesta de las Americas and a lot of the other events that are out there. We're not responsible for that. If I'm
okay,
thank you.
And as I understand, they will be compensated for their services since it's a fundraiser. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm happy now. Thank you.
Great questions, Mr. McKinney. Any other questions on item number 8? All right. Seeing no discussion, Joanne, will you call the roll?
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
Item number 8 carries. Item number 9, personnel.
Mr. President, I move to approve item 9,
I
personnel.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on item number 9? Seeing no discussion, I'll let everybody have a second here. Scanning my Brady Bunch little boxes here. I don't see any discussion. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
Item 9 carries. Item number 10, encumbrances and purchasing. We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I have a question about item 2101052, the Dennis Portis Golf Tournament for $3,000. I thought that the money to put on the golf tournament came from the foundation. Does anybody know what that $3,000 is? Is that the school's contribution to that, or should the foundation be contributing? We've tried to keep them both very separate, and I just like to know what that is.
Perry, that was my decision and my discussion, and I apologize that I didn't inform the board. I thought I was fairly clear in the discussion that we had last month that we've never sponsored that, and that it was my intent to sponsor that this year as a gold sponsor. I think it's a great opportunity for us to do and give back to our own foundation. We sponsor many things throughout this area.
So it is us being a sponsor,
Correct.
not making a contribution of some other kind. Okay.
We are a sponsor for the foundation tournament. Yes, sir.
The only other thing I had was 2101068. It's for the maintenance of some gators, and which are the little carts that they drive around. And we just authorized to buy new equipment. So I wonder if that particular encumbrance is necessary for the year. I think it's around 4,000. It is 4,000.
4,000. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Lawless?
I apologize, board. That before the purchase of the new vehicles, we were going to repair. We just that was a mistake on my part of not getting that off of the agenda.
So I was going to say, I thought we pulled that.
Yeah, I apologize for that. That we are not repairing the old gators. We are purchasing new ones, and we're going to surplus the old ones as is.
And I believe that surplus request is available.
So that will come off this, this encumbrance report then?
Correct. This is not, will not be paid. Derek, I said that correctly?
That is correct.
Okay.
And Mr. Perry, if it makes sense, we could always table that particular PO, I believe, if we need to, but.
If we're not going to use it, then it shouldn't be on the report. And so,
I apologize for that being on the report. It shouldn't be. That was an oversight on my part. It shouldn't be on there because we're not going to do that.
so can we pass the encumbrances less that particular item?
We can make that amendment if we so choose.
You can do it, and I just found out from finance, the PO can be closed tomorrow.
Okay. Then I would make a motion to approve the encumbrances less item 2101068.
All right, we have a motion to amend the original motion to approve the encumbrances minus the item that Mr. Perry referenced, because I didn't write the numbers down.
Yeah,
Another
210.
question. I have another question. Do we need, can I ask a question before?
We need a second before you can ask a question.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, we have a second from Ms. Campos,
Oh, okay.
and now we have discussion. So Ms. McKinney.
Okay, on there are several POs for Amazon Capital Service. Several. Are we using Amazon exclusively is my question.
I think for the purposes of this motion, Ms. McKinney, I think we need to go ahead and vote on the motion, and then you can ask that question on the original.
Okay.
We've got an amendment open right now. So if you let us close that amendment real fast, then we can come back to you for that question.
Okay.
So do we have any discussion on the amendment to remove the item that Mr. Perry had moved to remove? Seeing no discussion, Joanne, will you call the roll?
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Ray,
Aye.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Mr. Latham,
Aye.
all aye.
All right, the amendment carries. We're now on the amended item number 10 for encumbrances and purchasing minus the PO that Mr. Perry pointed out to us. So at that point, Ms. McKinney, if you could ask your question on Amazon.
Okay. About the number of POs for Amazon Capital Service. There are several. And I'm wondering if we're using Amazon exclusively?
I would like to answer that if that's okay, Mr. Collins.
Please.
We do have a primary vendor, which is Bill Warren for our office supplies. There's many times that they don't offer some of the materials that are needed as supplies in different departments. So we look to Amazon for many of those supplies due to the price breaks and the delivery.
Ms. McKinney, do you have a follow-up, sir? Yes.
That's a lot that they don't supply.
Well, I can definitely work on a list of what these items are and find out why they were selected rather than our primary vendor.
How did we acquire them prior to Amazon?
I will just say this, Miss Sarah, I can't answer that question. I can give that back to Mr. Matt. I will tell you this, that, Amazon is used and I am grateful. And I want to say this loud and clear. I'm grateful to our faculty and staff that they're looking for the best ways to save finances and money and to be aware of that. And so I appreciate them looking for the best price. And so we are grateful for that. Mr. Genhart, did you have a follow-up?
I did not. I would just like to just provide whatever information you would request in regards to these items.
I have no problem with it if it's the best price, but then are we sure about that?
We make every effort to find the lowest reasonable price for any items that we buy. And it's up to those sites and directors to work that out. And they typically look for the lowest reasonable price.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on item 10 as amended? Okay, seeing no questions, Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. Campos? Ms. Richards?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Dr. Teray?
Aye.
Mr. McKinney?
Aye.
Miss McKinney?
Aye.
Mr. Latham?
Aye.
All aye.
Okay. Item number 10 carries. And just real quickly, I know that we may have the gentleman who arranged the gun range stuff available. Superintendent Collins, is it, just to confirm, we're not derailing anything for his students?
From what I am being told, no, that it's not until December, but we can, if he's here on there and able to ask him, that may be appropriate.
Well, I think rather than rescinding the vote and having to go back and reconsider that, if he could join us on the next available meeting, we can bring that back up. And I think that's a reasonable thing to consider at that time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, seeing no other business, item number 11.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Miss McKinney?
Aye.
Miss Miss Richards?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Dr. Teray?
Aye.
Mr. McKinney?
Yes.
And Mr. Latham?
Aye.
All aye.
We're adjourned. Everyone have a good evening.
Thank
Good
you.
to see y'all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Aaron, for your service. Everyone out there that's working for us, thank you.
Absolutely.